unusual. I don't know what it's like over in the athletic facilities, but I heard an interview the other day on Sirius XM with the athletic director at the University of Texas, Chris Del Conte, and he said, "Guys, I'm getting tugged in so many different directions. This is unparalleled. We've never had every sport in the athletic department all going at once, and of course Texas has a few more sports than what Oklahoma State does, but that's what we've got with soccer and everything in the spring. Carrying over from the fall. It's almost too much to keep up with. Now you're focused in on just your game, but is it? How strange is it for you? Because this is real season in the spring.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, it's hectic, for everybody around here. Things you don't really think about, like our media relations staff. They're covering baseball and soccer, and the guys who run the scoreboard are trying to get baseball, softball, and soccer up and running at once. And it's facilities and the event staff people are trying to cover everything. So yeah, it's what the fans see, I think, is just the final product when we get out on the field. But there's so much going on behind the scenes this spring because of moving some of the sports to the spring, and cross country's got the national championships this weekend. So yeah, there's a lot going on. It's a little crazy, and we're just trying to stay focused on our group. And it's been different for us too. Our team are used to having some exhibition practice games at this time of year, and just really trying to develop players for next season, and that's all changed. So it's throwing up a lot of challenges, but all I know is we're really excited we still get to play, and our kids are enjoying it, and the coaches are enjoying it, and we'll just roll through any challenges put up in front of us. We'll just try to figure them out.
Yeah, and Colin, I was in doing the baseball last weekend, filling in because Rex Holt. The media gets stretched, and he was
Yeah.
up in Tulsa with wrestling, but I was keeping in tabs on the soccer match, and we were given the score because that was a big time match. I mean, people may have not noticed that. And we had you on earlier this spring. I knew there was a spring season, but I would love it if there'd been a little less going on. So there could have been more focus on the Cowgirls in St. Louis. That was a big time matchup, as evidenced by the fact your crew swept the soccer honors in the Big 12 this week, and Grace Yoakum's a National Player of the Week.
Yeah, we knew St. Louis were a good team. We played them 2 years ago in Stillwater, and we beat them 2-0. But it was a really good game, and they're winning their conference. They win a ton of games. They go to the NCAAs. So we knew how good they were, and they just don't have that national name that some other teams do. But it was one of the few games this whole season of two nationally ranked teams that are not in the same conference, because COVID has forced us all to play a lot of conference games and less non-conference games, and it's also forced us to play a lot of regional games instead of flying all over the country. So there's just not that many matchups league to league where both teams are highly ranked. So I think that's what you saw nationally is in our world, it got a lot of attention, and Grace got her award because I think it was probably the biggest game on the slate all weekend as far as a non-conference matchup goes. So yeah, it was a big game, and I was really pleased to come out with a win. It was a tough one, and right, of course, we didn't realize this beforehand. We knew they were good, but right after the game, we read all about their home winning streak and their home record in their last 45 games or something, like 39 wins, 1 loss, and 5 ties, and we thought, my goodness, that might be a bigger win than we gave ourselves credit for.
Well, and here's the thing: you mentioned your girls are used to playing exhibition matches, kind of a almost kind of like what football does in the spring. You practice, you develop, you get better. The bonus is in soccer, you get to see some outside competition. Instead of just having to scrimmage yourself throughout the spring. But these are real games. You're gunning for NCAA tournament play and maybe even a host at Neil Patterson Stadium, and so there's a lot of things on the line, and that's what I've noticed. You guys came out, beat Little Rock 3-0. You beat St. Louis 1-0 in overtime, a team that has been very good, but especially good on their home pitch. So your girls have adapted. I mean, and not only that, you did it where I don't know what you did for that 10 days we were living in Antarctica.
Yeah, we didn't do much. um, yeah, it's been challenging to say the least for all the reasons you just said, and I'm really proud of our team. And it was kind of epitomized this weekend. We had a delay on kickoff. They had to go through some COVID protocols and, test a kid, an extra test just to make sure and be ultra safe to make sure that it was good for everybody to play. And thankfully it was. Everything worked out fine. But, we had to sit around outside at the field at St. Louis for about 2.5, 3 hours and, eat PB&Js at the field. And, we had every excuse in the book not to win that game. Oh, we were out here all day. Game was delayed. Weren't sure if we were going to play. 7-hour bus trip. All the excuses you want to make up. And our kids they were awesome. They just rolled with it. They adapted. They didn't let it bother them. They just stayed focused. And that's probably the most proud. The thing I was most proud of was just the fact that we didn't care when we played, who we played, what time it kicked off. Our kids just wanted to compete, and it's something we're trying to instill in them, and they bought in for sure. And it was great. It was really good and a really mature performance from our group.
This Sunday, you go down to North Texas and play them in Denton, and I'm going to guess this will be almost a little bit like a conference matchup, simply because you guys recruit that area so many of your players are out of that area. North Texas does the same. I'm going to guess there's going to be a lot of reunions between the orange and the green on that field in Denton on Sunday.
Yeah, there will be. It's funny. They're a lot like St. Louis. They're a mid-major that win their league just about every year and always go to the NCAA tournament, and they're good. And of course, I think I just read something the other day. I think they'd won 18 straight at home. So I don't know who did our schedule, but I guess I'll blame myself. But we seem to be playing everybody that don't lose at home, and we have to go try to beat them. So it speaks to how well they recruit. They recruit the Dallas area for sure. They get kids who leave and maybe it doesn't work out and they transfer back to North Texas. Very high level players, and they just beat Oklahoma 2 weeks ago or a week ago. So they're a Big 12 level team. There's no question. And again, they don't have that name recognition. Our fans might look at it and say, they're probably decent. Well, no, this is a 50-50 game, kind of like the St. Louis game. And, especially at their place, they'll be very fired up to beat a ranked Big 12 team. So we'll take their best shot. And we'll need another performance very similar to the St. Louis one if we want to get a win on the road. So it's great. It's good to have those games. It's good mentally to have to get up for those games, and certainly if we're able to win them, it gives us a really nice chance to get into that postseason tournament. So we look at it as another really good opportunity.
Well, and I was going to glance. I think the next week you guys come home on the schedule, and finally get play again in Neil Patterson, which I guess you haven't been gone that long. You opened up with Little Rock there, but UTEP comes in. You do have that Bedlam duel coming up with Oklahoma, Bedlam match, and then also I think it's great. You're playing TCU, and of course Notre Dame comes in April 11th. So those are a lot of things to look forward at Neil Patterson Stadium. What I wanted to get to, I didn't mention Kim Rodriguez along with Grace. Grace was a Big 12 honoree and the National Player of the Week. Kim Rodriguez, Defensive Player of the Week. And how about Emily Plotz in the box? She was terrific in the fall. She's been really, really good, obviously, so far this season. And tell me her story, because I don't think she was just like a slam dunk recruit. Oh, here comes our next keeper. She had to fight and scratch and win that job.
Yeah, for sure. So Emily is from Florida, and she went to Stetson University out of high school, and her first year, maybe 2 years there, she was all conference and really did a great job. She picked up an injury. She had a shoulder injury that curtailed, I think that was between her junior and senior year. And so she didn't get to play what would have been her senior year because of the shoulder injury that just wouldn't heal up properly. It's something that she did in training, and then it just, she rehabbed, came back, and whether it didn't heal properly or she came back too quickly, who knows? But, she missed her senior year. So during that year, she decided she'd like to try something new. And she went into the transfer portal. And that's when we didn't know anything about her. That's when we were looking for a keeper, and we started talking to her, and there was some injury concerns. There were some academic concerns, not with her grades, just the transfer rules and trying to make sure she'd be eligible immediately and all those things. And so it was a long process. And, eventually, we got everything cleared up with the NCAA where she would be able to compete for her senior year. Her health seemed to be doing well. Her shoulder seemed to be strong. And so all the pieces kind of fell into place. And, we probably, last spring, we were able to finalize the deal. So she came in and won the job in preseason. She came in and competed with the keepers we had existing here, and she won the job and did a great job. The best thing I can say about Emily is she's very calm and she's very consistent. Some keepers can make amazing plays, but they might mess up on an easier ball, or they'll have a great day and a bad day, or they'll train well one day and not so well the next day. Emily's just kind of what you see is what you get. She's just really cool, really composed across the board. And, she'll make some big plays, but her biggest attribute to me is she takes care of the routine plays and doesn't make what you would call glaring errors. So she's brought really some composure back there to us. And, I think in the fall she was just very motivated because she hadn't played in so long. And now she's just part of our team, part of the fabric. And I think our kids have a lot of faith in her that she can get the job done and help us win. So it's been a good ride for Emily. And, with COVID now, she has one more year. So she's doing grad school, and she intends, what she told us last fall is she intends to be here next fall, finishing grad school and playing one more season. So we're excited for that.
Wow. Yeah, that's been a big bonus for a lot of teams. I just got finished asking Josh Holliday what it's like to have 46 guys suiting up on a baseball roster. So, I'm guessing you'll have somewhat of an expanded roster going to next year. So,
Yep.
That's again awesome. Last question for Colin Carmichael, Cowgirls head coach, and they get ready for a big match in Denton, Texas. The DFW area is just it's soccer crazy, and so I can imagine that'll be a terrific match, obviously coming up. But I was going to ask you, with Emily and a lot of the players that you bring in, I'm not saying the Cowgirls don't score, they do, but there's no doubt the bedrock of your system, the bedrock of your program is Oklahoma State Cowgirl soccer has always been great defensively. They've strived to be so good defensively. Is that a lure for somebody like an Emily Plotz that's in the transfer portal, or even when you come across, and I know you recruit forwards too, but when you recruit keepers and players that play on the back end, do they recognize, hey, defensive players are stars at OSU?
Yeah, I hope so for sure. And I would think so if they do the research. They'll see statistically how proud we are in defending our goal and not giving opponents opportunities to score. We've also got a good history of developing goalkeepers. Starting with AD Franch, of course, and being All-American and all everything really at this point. But we've had other All Big 12 goalkeepers come through here, and I think that bodes well when we start recruiting high-level keepers. They see that there's a pathway if they want to go pro or they want to be on the national teams. There's certainly a pathway through Stillwater to do that. And then the back line, you can run down the list of big-time defenders that have come here and played for their national team, some of them, and some of them been drafted into the pros and things like that. So, yeah, and, the other thing I would say is our attacking kids know as well, if you don't defend at Oklahoma State, you're probably not going to play that much. Gabriella Coleman's our target forward, and she works her socks off up there when we don't have the ball. And some of our, Olivia Dow, probably our most talented offensive player, but she knows if she's not running and closing down defensively and doing her work without the ball, that, she's going to be called out for it on video on Monday. So you got to put the work in here. You got to play defense. And, a lot of times that translates into good offense as well.
All right, Colin Carmichael, and I told him that would be the last thing. He's got a busy schedule, and it's crazy. I mean, and I know Wade's got baseball and soccer, and he's trying to do it, and he is doing a good job with both. But this is nuts, having all the sports going, and I kind of feel sorry for cross country. They've got the nationals coming in, and and the other thing is with the media, you can't operate normally. I mean, normally if I want a soccer interview, I'm going to tell Wade, hey, I'm going to stop by after practice or whatever, and we can't really do anything in person, which I hate that, although I think we're getting closer. But hey, good luck in Denton. It was great to get that final score from St. Louis last Saturday, and again, the best is yet to come this spring with that schedule, because once you get back to Patterson Stadium, there are going to be some fun matches coming up between Bedlam and TCU, and then of course, obviously Notre Dame coming in here is going to be ultra cool. So appreciate it, Colin. Appreciate your time.
Yeah, of course, Robert. Thank you.
All right, Colin Carmichael, head coach of the Cowgirls, and it is. I mean, there's so much stuff going on right now. It's crazy. All right, we need to take a time out. We'll do that. We'll come back with more here on Sports Talk with Robert Allen and friends, with our good friends here at Johnson's of Kingfisher.